Turtle Tales, written by Vinitha Ramchandani, narrated by Kirtana Kumar.
Turtle Tales. It was a particularly hot day when Priyanka found Kirti. Priyanka was supposed to be in school, but she wasn't. It would be a hard day at school and she didn't particularly want to be spanked that day. She had had a bad day with Muthashi as it is and wasn't in the mood for another verbal whiplash. So, with her school bag in hand, she walked down the beach. The beach was empty. The only signs of the pre-dawn bustle of the fisher folk were the meshed footprints on the sand. They would be resting now, the fisher folk, some of them in the shadow of their drying boats, and some at home. The periphery of the beach was fringed with untidy knots of touch-me-nots, and Priyanka had patiently seen that each tiny plant was shut tight. Then she saw Kirti. Or at least, she saw a speck that moved intermittently. Priyanka hurried towards the speck and found a tiny turtle weaving its way through the sand, obviously lost. Priyanka picked up the turtle, which blindly struggled to move forward in her palm. The rounded legs tickled her palms, and she scratched its hard shell. She peered at its beady, sleepy eyes. In an instant, she loved him with a passion that only a 7-year-old could have for small things that moved. "Hello, little one," she crooned to the turtle. Then, scratching its shell, she decided to name him. "Keertivarman is your name. Do you like it? But I will call you Kirti." She looked at the turtle who labored from one palm only to be dropped into the next. "Don't you want to know my name? My name is Priyanka, but they call me Priya." Overhead were seabirds that Priyanka had not earlier paid attention to. They seemed to be circling closer to her now, and Priyanka realized that they had spotted their next meal in the baby turtle. She dropped Kirti inside her bag and glared at them. "Shoo! Go away, birds! There's nothing here for you to eat!" she shouted, and hurried out of the beach towards her home. Then she slapped her forehead. What was she thinking? First of all, she was supposed to be in school. Secondly, Muthashi would hardly welcome a turtle. She seemed to dislike everyone around her, including Priyanka. Especially me, thought Priyanka, and did an about-turn to the beach. Priyanka stared at the turtle in panic and for inspiration. How do you take care of a turtle? What do you give him to eat? Where could he stay? Priyanka trudged all the way down the beach towards the homes of the fisher folk. She would go look out for Baby Mole, the kind lady who sold fish to her grandmother. Baby Mole often gave Priyanka a small portion of fish tails and innards so that Priyanka could feed the almost pet stray cat that parked itself outside the girl's home, much to Muthashi's rage. "Why this mangy cat is sitting outside my home, I don't know," Muthashi would bellow. "Somebody is feeding this hateful creature and I know who it is. Let me catch that brat. I will whip her to pieces." And so, Priyanka took even more pleasure in feeding the cat. Irritating her grandmother was Priyanka's favorite pastime. She feared the old lady whose hand was as hard as iron, and yet every prank she did was for Muthashi's benefit. Priyanka was shouted at almost every day, either by Muthashi or at school by the headmaster. The headmaster also operated on the belief that Priyanka was behind all the mischief in school. Unfortunately, he was right most of the time. But the more they tried to correct her with different kinds of punishments, the more she seemed to rebel. It was only Baby Mole, who had often seen the child cry on the beachfront, doodling angrily on the sand, who seemed to know that the little girl was lonely and unhappy.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?